Hi, I hope you're having a great day. Well, today's topic is really about our belief system, about positivity, about the mind, and how it correlates with our health, how it correlates with fear and insecurity when it comes to weight gain, people's inability to lose weight, when people are stricken down with diseases, how fear controls or decides whether they will heal or not heal. Now, for the longest time, we've understood the mind-body connection and the impact it has on every cell. It's very common for a lot of people today, be it doctors, nutritionists, physical, trainers, and all of that stuff, to tell most people, that your stress is the root cause of most of your problems. Even though you may have people eating healthy diets and working out well, but yet they don't lose that weight, or yet they don't recover from their illnesses. And then we usually tell people that, hey, it's your stress levels, you're emotionally stressed, you're chronically stressed. And a lot of people do not see the connection between stress, the way they think about certain things, their perception of certain things, and the correlation it has to every single cell in the human body. It's also very easy to blame most of our problems on stress. After all, almost every human being today is going through stress. It's not just adults, it's the senior citizens, it's young children and teenagers as well. But the more we start understanding that why we're not getting better in terms of health, in terms of lifestyle, you can look at the amount of disease increasing, the suicidal rates, the amount of depression and anxiety. Something's definitely wrong somewhere. And it's not just the food, it's not just the air that we breathe, it's not just the water that we drink, because that's something which is common to all of us. It's the environment of our mind. It's the way we think. It's our belief system. It's our mindset about so many different things. And so today I thought we should spend this time understanding, and if you really get this concept and you understand this concept, it's very easy for you to change your perception of many things in life, which could have an immediate positive impact, not just on your health, but the way you live, your relationships, the way you see people, the way you treat yourself, all of these things together. So I get my wisdom, I get my motivation, I get my inspiration from one doctor. His name is Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he's the author of a fantastic book called The Biology of Belief. Now, he's a cell biologist. He's a hardcore researcher and a cell biologist who wrote a bestseller, which if you read and you understand, right now you will understand that you have the power to change almost anything in your life, be it cancer and everything else. Now, don't hold me to my word. There are a lot of people whose destinies are written. We have to understand that. We have to understand that when we talk about these things, it's not your replacement for medication. You need medicine. It's not your replacement for chemo and radiation. It's something that you have. All of us have an intelligence in us. All of us have a brilliance in us. If we tap into it and we use it, we could change our lives. We could change our health in most cases. And in a few cases, we can't do that at all because our destinies are written, or sometimes it's too late to do that. But the power of our mind is so important to understand when it comes to making that split second in your life right now. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next year. You don't have to wait to make a New Year resolution with the 1st of Jan just around the corner. You can make it in a split second right now by changing the way you think. A lot of people go on about positive thinking and all of that stuff. It's a whole load of crap, because it's way beyond positive thinking. It's so easy for us to tell someone who's going through depression, anxiety, or cancer, think positive all the time. But when they understand and you explain to them how a positive belief mindset can change their health, you give them reasoning, you give them logic, it becomes easier for them to change the way that they think. So Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist, did this simple experiment which I want everyone to understand today. And then you take that analogy and apply it in your life and you watch how it changes. So he worked with something called pluripotential cells. These are nothing but stem cells. Stem cells, we all have them in our body. Stem cells have the ability to grow into anything. It can grow into a fat cell, it can grow into a muscle cell, it can grow into a bone cell, it can grow into a cancer cell. So he took these pluripotential cells, which are basically stem cells, and he put them into a petri dish with the right cell culture medium. So the cells start dividing and multiplying into genetically identical cells. So from one cell, you basically get genetically identical cells. He took these identical cells and put them into 3 different petri dishes. And he exposed 3 of these dishes to 3 different cell culture mediums. Let me make it simple, to 3 different environments. So you had the same genetically identical cells being exposed to 3 different environments. And now there were 3 different results in each of these dishes. Some of the cells became bone cells in one dish. In the other dish, they became protein cells. And in the third dish, they became muscle cells. The same genetically identical cells, the difference being the environment. They had the same DNA, the same genetics, but the environment was different. So the environment in your body basically decides which cell is going to become bone, which cell is going to become muscle, which cell is going to become protein. Now, you would think that this is controlled by genetics, but absolutely not. This is controlled by the environment created in that dish. So now, if I take cells from a body and I put it in a healthy environment, the cells will behave with optimum health. If I take the same identical cells and I put it in a cell culture, which is a bad environment, those cells will become sick rapidly. The same cells, different environments. So he goes on to explain that how in someone who's sick right now, the environment of the body is sick and the cells are sick. But if he takes out the cells from that sick person's body, and that person may need medicine, there's no doubt that person will need medicine to get better. But now he takes out the sick cells from that sick body and that environment, and he puts it into a healthy environment. And all of a sudden, the cells become healthy without the requirement of that medicine. So what happens is you change the environment and you change the way your cells behave in your body. Now, when we say in your body, I'm talking about the internal environment of your body, and around us we have an external environment which also has an impact on the internal environment, controlling the way our cells behave. So what he said next was beautiful. The human body is nothing but a petri dish, okay, covered by skin with 50 trillion cells operating within an environment. That environment, that cell culture medium is your blood. Your blood bathes and feeds these 50 trillion cells. So now your blood composition depends, your cell health, your immunity depends on the health of the medium, which is your blood. So now if your blood composition is toxic, with too many toxins in, with heavy metals and all of these things, guess what changes? The health of your cells, because your cells are in a bad environment, which is your blood composition. Now if your blood composition is too acidic, your cells start reducing in health. Your cells start behaving the wrong way. They start getting sicker and sicker. But now if your blood composition is the right composition, which is favorable for your cells, think your cell medium culture, your cells have everything, the environment, to behave the right way. So if they are sick and the composition of our body, the internal environment of our body is optimum, your sick cells can heal and recover or die quickly, allowing you to restore your health. Now, furthermore, you take this into a very, very simple analogy. Your belief system. So most people will say, then how do my thoughts create disease? How do my feelings and emotions? We keep talking about resentment. We keep talking about chronic anger. We keep talking about chronic emotional distress, bitterness, the inability to unforgive. How does this make us terribly, terribly sick? Now we have to understand the human brain before we tie it in with the composition of your blood. Let's go back to the composition of your blood. What influences the composition of your blood? Your brain. Your brain is the chemist that controls the composition of your blood. So what happens is my brain is constantly putting neurotransmitters, neuropeptides, hormones, growth factors, and a whole load of chemicals into my blood to basically manage biochemical, physiological, and biological reactions in my cells. So my brain is either putting the right amount of hormones, neuropeptides, and messengers into my blood, or the wrong ones. Now what controls that? The mind. Now let's understand the brain for a minute. When it comes to our brain, there is perception. Our brain is perception, and our mind is interpretation. Let me break this down a little more. So for example, I open my eyes and I see someone I love. Let's take, for example, I see my daughter. So when my eyes open, my brain perceives my daughter. That's my daughter, Tiana. Now my mind interprets Tiana into love. And what happens is my brain puts serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins into my blood, and I feel good when I see my daughter. Now let's replace that with someone I don't like. I open my eyes and I see someone I don't like. The brain sees the person and perceives the person as person A. Person A, Luke doesn't like person A. Now my brain perceives it as person A. My mind interprets it as a person I don't like. My brain is going to put the other chemicals like my stress hormones and all of that stuff into my blood, and I feel averse to that person. I feel angry. All the emotions that person brings up is what I feel. So you see, the brain perceives. So whenever we see something we don't like, or we're stuck with a toxic person or a toxic colleague, and all the time your brain is putting those neurotransmitters, peptides, chemicals, hormones into your blood. And you are changing the composition of your blood, which is affecting 50 trillion cells in the human body. Now let's take that analogy to disease. So when I look at disease with fear, okay, fine, we should look at disease with fear as motivation to get better. But when I see cancer as a death sentence, when I see diabetes as something I have to live with, when I see thyroid as something I have to live with, I have fear. What are the kind of hormones and neuropeptides and chemicals that I'm putting into my blood because of my thought process, because of interpretation of my mind? The brain sees the word as cancer. The mind interprets it as fear. And my blood composition changes almost immediately in an instant second, which is why it is so important for us to change our mindsets and our belief systems towards disease, towards relationships, towards everything. If I see something negatively, every time I see it, my blood composition is changing and it's affecting 50 trillion cells. And how do we know this? Because we feel that way. How do you feel sadness? How do you feel anger? How do you feel jealousy? How do you feel happiness? These are 50 trillion plus cells vibrating with the emotion that your brain has perceived and your mind has interpreted. So now take this further. When the mind is positive, when your belief system is positive, when your mind frame is positive and optimistic, what you're doing is putting the right chemicals and hormones in your blood, which moves you into a physiological state of rest. This is stimulated by the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. When you are in this nervous system, the body has the ability to heal, self-repair, regrow, grow, procreate, and create. It can only happen in the sympathetic nervous system. But the moment my mindset is constantly negative, chronically negative, a few negative thoughts is not going to do this to you. I'm talking about chronic. Or I constantly see the disease I have is fear. It's going to kill me. It's going to cause problems for me. What's going to happen is the same thing. Instead of physiological rest, my sympathetic nervous system basically gets stimulated. And I have all my stress hormones fill my blood and change the composition. Now in that composition and that sympathetic nervous system, the body is incapable of repairing. It is incapable of healing. It is incapable of self-repair and growth. So our mind controls whether we are going to heal, not heal, be an obstacle to losing weight. So people who are trying to lose weight, they're constantly obsessed, they're constantly cribbing, talking about menopause, bad menopause, the symptoms of menopause when they've not even reached there. They change their blood composition almost immediately, and there is no way they will ever achieve their results. No superfood, no trainer, no amount of lifestyle changes unless they change the way they believe. They change their mindset and they make it more positive. Like, hey, I am a woman. I am going to go through menopause. My body's strong enough. I will go through it beautifully. Hey, I got a lot of weight I need to lose. I've fallen off track. I'm going to make the right lifestyle changes, eat well, put in a little bit of discipline, positive mindset. You will lose that weight. But when you're constantly cribbing and complaining and in that circuit of negativity, guess what? Your body doesn't care about what your thoughts are. It works on physiology, biology, and chemistry. All your brain will control the composition of your blood. So we need to now understand, when you understand this and it is proven in a lab, the way your cells work, there is nothing else for you to think about. Your pumpkin seeds and broccoli and your CrossFit and anything that you do, not that they're bad things, is not going to be the answer to your health. Your mindset, your belief system, to the way you feel about love, your body, weight loss, disease, relationships, life, success. These definitions and mindsets in your brain is what will define what happens in your physical self. So when you understand this all of a sudden, that's when you start understanding that fad diets, fad exercise programs, constantly taking allopathy, thinking it's going to cure you, but it's only suppressing your symptom, constantly relying on nutrition alone, thinking if I just eat organic salads all day, I'm going to be healthier. Extreme fad diets. It's not going to cure you at all. What you need to work on is your belief system, your mindset about everything. So sit down with a piece of paper, write down career, children, parenting, sex, love, weight, finances. What is your mindset? What is your belief system about all of these? If it is negative, you got to work with your mindset before you try to work with everything else, because it starts here and it ends up physically manifesting in your body, and the human mind and the human body and trillions of cells are interconnected, and no amount of human technology, no amount of chemicals which are synthetic can ever change the intelligence and brilliance of the human body. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.